everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Jennie Montgomery. Welcome to another half hour of information to help you make the most of your time, to make informed decisions, and to keep up with goings on around Greater Augusta. Today, we are featuring a couple of local artists, Kate Gary and Billy S. Their stories are so interesting, and their art is quite different. They're coming up shortly, but first, a look at a very serious subject.
Please come to biotest on Peach Orchard Road. Somebody got a knife and they're killing. He killed him.
It was a shocking scene at the Biotest Plasma Center on Peach Orchard Road. Deputies had been called to the center earlier in the day for a knife incident. Yet at approximately 8 p.m. on January 22nd, Keontae Green allegedly walked in and stabbed to death David Boykin. You can see the suspect, who investigators identified as Green, hovering over Boykin. Coroner Mark Bowen says it was a hard case to work.
It was a machete used. And it was a pretty big area of struggle where they were struggling at. It was horrifying to the people that was there, and they were running to save their lives too, you know.
And Mark Bowen is with us today, and it is very interesting timing for sure, Mark. You know, we're not here to talk about the legalities and the prosecution of this case, because it's of course ongoing, but that was for you not the kind of a scene you're called to every day.
Absolutely. You know, we see a lot of different scenes, and that one was just totally different from what we normally get.
And it was interesting that you were thinking about the other people who were there witnessing what happened.
Right.
You know, and just the fear that they were experiencing.
Right. They all said, you know, the ones that we talked to were running to get out of there because they had no idea what was happening.
What was happening, right, right. I can tell you that in the media, we really respect our Richmond County Coroner's Office, and they're very easy to work with, and they give us the information so that we can get it on to you. But one thing, Mark, that you all are really, really cognizant of is not releasing names until family is identified. And that's something that we saw recently with all the media attention around the horrible helicopter crash with you know, with Kobe Bryant, and how that police agency really did kind of scold the media for releasing some names before they would have wanted them out, because they don't feel that's any way for family to find out. And you certainly know that.
That's correct. From my office, we're going to make eye-to-eye contact. We don't want anybody to find out by phone, social media. We want to be eye-to-eye with that person so we can deliver the worst news that they're ever going to receive.
Exactly.
And we want to be there with them to support them and help them if they need help with this.
It just has to be the hardest thing that you do, to have to tell us. I think about maybe a teenager in a traffic accident.
It is. It's hard when you have to go tell some parents that they've lost their child, and it's hard to tell, you know, they've lost grandmothers.
Sure.
or any
Right.
family member. It's hard for a family to understand the news that we're about to give them.
Yeah.
And we try to be there with them to give them all the help they need.
Your compassion certainly comes through, and you said to me that you have a really good team and that they're all about the people.
Right. God's blessed me with a great team, and they're going to take the time with the families, be there with them. I've got some that still makes calls back to the families to check on them. Families call us quite often. We keep that little bond with them.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to be there for them and help them do whatever they need for us to do.
I guess there's a lot they have to navigate.
Right, right.
Once there's a death like that, that they're not prepared for.
Right, absolutely.
Well, one thing that I want you to know is that the governor has appointed Mark to a commission of just 5 coroners in the state. That was very recent. What is that commission? It's a training of coroners?
It's a Georgia Training Council, and we pick the curriculum that the coroners will be taught each year for their in-service. Also, we handle the disciplinary part as far as if we have a coroner that's not doing right in the state, we'll make a recommendation to the governor's office and AG's office to take disciplinary actions if needed.
One thing that you've also done in the time that you've been coroner is increase awareness about organ donation. Right. And you've told me that it's a question asked in the hospital, but previously it wasn't asked on the streets.
Correct.
So explain how that's working.
Carl Eubanks, the director of the Augusta University Tissue Donor Services, and I partnered up, and we now offer the families in the street of loved ones that die at home or car wrecks or shootings. We offer the family to, if the loved one wanted to donate, we make that happen for them, where it was not happening before. And we've been able to help over 5,000 people locally to carry on because of donation.
I really love it when we do stories about organ donation, and when maybe the families meet someone that has their loved one's heart or whatever, and it's despite all the pain of losing that loved one, there is that joy and that they kept another family's loved one alive.
They're carrying on with that person. Absolutely.
I think that is so important. I think it's wonderful that you're doing that. I had mentioned to Mark earlier that as long as I can remember, I would check organ donation. And as a kid, I remember my mother was always an eye donor. That was the thing on licenses at the time. She was an eye donor. And when my kids were doing their driver's test and were filling out everything to get their license, I remember my son, he got to the question about, are you an organ donor? And I'm like, oh yeah, honey, just check yes. And he looks at me and he goes, can we talk about this, Mom? And I thought, yeah, maybe you do need to talk about it a little bit first. I was kind of jumping the gun on him. It occurred to me. But that is an important discussion to have for sure.
Right, absolutely.
And when we're talking about teenagers and other people, you do see a lot of deaths that don't need to happen. And it's because of our carelessness and
texting and driving, drinking and driving. Just, be alert, pay attention, and do. That text is not that important to lose your life over.
It used to be at high schools, they would always take wrecked cars and put them out like prom week to really make that impression there on kids.
Right.
But, with our phones, it's not just like a once in a time thing where they may be drinking at a party. That's with kids every day. You really have to drive that message home. Right.
So, don't text and drive, because, it's bad when we get there. And I've had one case where the person was still holding a cell phone in the hand. And the last text was, I'm driving right now, I will. And evidently the wreck happened then. And it's really, took a toll on them.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly. How do you, Mark, do your job with a smile? When you know that your job is about sadness for other people?
I love my job. I love being able to be there for the families, to help them when they need it, to support them, and to try to help them begin the grieving process, and to, realize that we're here for them if they need us. And I enjoy that.
And I feel like it's part of your gifts that you're able to do that.
Well,
That's part of what's in your makeup as a person.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate your time today. Thank you
Absolutely.
for being here with us.
Thank you.
And if you want more information about the organ donation and about Carl Eubanks, we're certainly going to have links to that on our website, and we'll have a link to the coroner's office as well. And again, Mark, I do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Still ahead on Jennie, an Augusta woman is making a big splash in the local art scene. Meet Kate Gary when we come back.